and welcome to Write. I'm your host today, Farrell D. Moore, and I will be hosting a look at the second dragon, the Dragon of Dissolution. Each of the dragons of creativity will teach us a different lesson. The first dragon teaches us the lesson that our rigid personal identities can interfere with, block, or worse still, cause us to nervously reject new imagery and insights because we're too wrapped up in who we are to keep an open mind. Learning to overcome this restriction is the first step in the alchemical process we began the moment we confronted the first dragon. This was a brave step that we took. Many writers pride themselves on their open-mindedness to new ideas and concepts, but are not open to their own creative intuitions because they have a rigid identity to maintain. In other words, in the face of a creative dragon, they run back to the comfort and safety of their routines. The Dragon of Black and Fire also teaches us different ways to deal with this creative blockage. In our last discussion, we focused on the lesson that the power of love for another can help us break free from our own rigid self-interpretations and allow creative imagery to flow. In the presence of the Dragon of Black and Fire, our two travelers experienced the three alchemical phases known as the black phase, negretto, the white phase, albedo, and the red phase, rubedo. In simple terms, they correspond to facing the dragon, surrendering to the dragon, and unleashing the dragon. These same three phases will occur with each dragon we meet, yet each cycle of these three phases will be more intense than the one before, and with each dragon we face, we will risk still more that is dear to us. But now we must go forward to meet the second dragon, known as the Dragon of Dissolution, otherwise known as the Water Dragon. Each dragon has another lesson for us. The Dragon of Water has a different teaching for us than the Dragon of Fire we left behind. For the Dragon of Dissolution, too, guards a gate. The gate that it guards, of course, is underwater. Now, water is, esoterically speaking, of the moon, and the lunar things are very important to us in our search for greater creativity. Water relates to the dark currents of our subconscious, to psychic energies, emotions, and the world of the astral light. It is said that each world has its own language. The world guarded by the Dragon of Dissolution is a world of symbols. Symbols have great power in the astral world and are in fact the language of that aspect. I pray that we will find another wise person to help us. If we do not find such a person, I fear that you and I might drown. The second dragon. It's not a good place to go, says a wizened old man. His goat looks up at me and chews something I cannot see. I hope to leave goats and goat herders and common things behind where we left our village, and to gaze from that moment forward only on magical, wonderful surprises. But it's where we must go, you tell him. He will tell you the way to the water dragon's lair. I can see it in the way his eyes soften, and the ends of his mouth curl up in a real smile. He would need to be a stout man indeed to resist a pretty girl such as yourself. Now, why would a young maid, lovely as yourself, want to find the lake of dead ideas, he asks. According to my uncle, and the man knows more than everything there is to know in life, a lot of writers dive into its stagnant waters looking for the gate and come instead floating back up, eyes open wide and empty. Why would a would-be storyteller a year ago thought he was hot stuff, gave up his pride for a day or two, and thought he would be the greatest writer that there ever was? No, miss and young sir. Pride is something you've got to keep at every day of your life. The sky is clear of rain, but heavy gray clouds sneak closer to us each time we look away. I can feel a faint static charge prickling the air about us, see the tree leaves showing us their backs, and smell the odor of storm anger in the air. We just need to know the way, you tell him. Do you see that trail there, to your left? He asks. No, I answer quickly, though he was speaking only to you. He is a gnarled, short, and grizzled, dressed in ragged clothes and leads his goat by a weathered leather strap. But I dislike that he sees only you, and acts as though I am scarcely there at all. This old man and his goat are the first beings we have encountered since passing through the gate of calcination. The old man, like everyone who has ever met you, is quickly wrapped up in your beauty. That's because there is none, he laughs. It is a joke he has made at my expense. You smile, faintly embarrassed. But whether you're embarrassed for the old man or myself, I cannot tell. His mouth is full of broken peg teeth that remind me of shattered posts. Dry, long hair, the gray-white color of a frog's underbelly, blows about his head in a sudden, urgent rush of air. His beard flaps from his chin like a frayed rag nailed to a tree. But despite his age, he looks at you with the soft eyes of a young man, and I have to admit, I don't like it. Just go that way, he says to you, extending a finger thick as a swamp snake and pointing away from the disappearing sun. You can't miss the lake. You smell it before you see it. His goat sniffs the air as though in agreement, then looks towards the gathering storm. Past a skeletonous tree, I see the sky is overcome by dark feelings. Clouds the color of grimy tin flow over the heavens in a rush. Not since the path to the first gate have I felt such dread. It is as though omens and premonitions tumble end over end through the dire winds. We defied a fiery dragon once, you and I, and as we followed the path away from the first gates, we were filled with happiness and life. That night we made our bed beneath a protector tree, not a charred stump. We devised it of leaves, and when the sun slipped away to wherever that orb retires, we held each other quietly, savoring our union. We were still and secure, motionless, until the need for each other, small at first, then quickly, so quickly, more urgent, overcame us. The next morning, radiance and verdant growth surrounded us, as though nature herself blessed our coming together. Now, in the short time since we met this stranger, sunlight and joy have been replaced by threatening clouds, and an old man's eyes appreciating the face and the body of the woman that I love. You're sure we will find it? You ask innocently. Perhaps you would like my friend and I, he nodded at his cloven companion, to go along with you, to make sure that you do not lose your way. There is something disturbing about this old man. His voice is quietly edged with power. Beneath the rough cloth of his ragged clothing, I sense a hidden, robust vitality and power that coils beneath his vestments like a young snake beneath an old serpent's skin. And I realize that I do not trust this man who travels with a goat. He reminds me too much of what you and I left behind. No, I said to him, we will manage. The storm is coming quickly upon us, he said, as a tumble of limp leaves flew past us. I know of a way along the way. We could stay the night there in safety together and continue in the morning. A good idea, you say, and look at me. What say you? Is this not a kind offer? The sky is dark, we are far from home, and this stranger will lead us to safety. My words come almost before I can stop them. No, only you and I will go forward. I will see that we find shelter. You seem puzzled, as though I'm acting like a child. Is it possible that I misjudged you? Only 2 nights ago we were one. In the presence of the first man we see, we are now 2. Perhaps this is something that I may remember to help you in your quest to confront the water dragon, says the old man slyly. A flash of sharp, bright lightning knifes through the sky, and I step back in fear as I see a liquid silver in the old man's eyes. You clench my arm so hard that I feel the tips of your fingers touch my bone. We have to find shelter, you tell me. Your voice is taut as stretched wire. I can take you there, says the old man, and he steps toward me. No, I shout over the blustering wind. Please, you say, let him show us the way. As I turn to you, I see the despair in your face, and there is something different in how you look at me. The surrounding air grows turbulent, and behind you I see a flower bent back in pain, as though the wind pushes it over and down. The smell of crushed petals fills the air, and I detect a faint smell of something like a whiff of belladonna. I am puzzled by its luxuriant smell. I'm immersed in vapors and winds. I see the old man smile. I see your concern. I think you look past me toward him. At that moment, I recognize the scent. It is the smell of betrayal. Tune in next week for more on the second dragon, the Dragon of Dissolution.